Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. I am about to wrap up this series here on gym leader or gym leadership no-nos. And then the topic of this particular episode, and I'm actually going to divide this episode into two to wrap up this series, and that is do not, absolute no-no, do not discount the role that confidence will play on your leadership journey and your overall life. But I want to kick off this episode, folks, by highlighting an exciting. Some of you actually saw the post that I put on Facebook the evening of March 30th in Novi-Michigan here, one of our suburbs, actually very close to my home. Runner's Fit, the actual store, the chain of store that sells running apparel, very, very popular. Actually, Brooks, who's actually the company, an apparel company, sponsored a cool event. And so basically, if some of you have been to Painting with a Twist and some of those where, there was about 30 easels set up and, a number of us were there and participated, and they had the teacher. And so this is actually, this is my final product. This is my final product. And so basically they have the instructor there, going step by step, grab the small brush, do this, do that. So they walk you through, and it's about an hour and a half. And so folks, it was an absolute hoot, but also more importantly, from a marketing perspective, how awesome was that? Running Fit, the actual store, Brooks, the actual apparel company, sponsoring it within that store. So they brought in some foot traffic they wouldn't have had otherwise. And it so dovetails so well with the topic of this episode and this particular sub episode within this series here on highlighting the value of confidence, and that is knowing who you are, accepting who you are, and being comfortable in your own skin. But certainly had a wonderful time, and certainly very grateful to Brooks for that event. And the actual, on these bracelets it says, run happy, Brooks. And so cool. And so when I'm mentioning the knowing who you are, there were members there, actually a couple of the leaders of the Northville Running Club. We're trying to recruit new members, and are you interested in a no? I am a sprinter. I am not a long distance runner. I'm not interested in running marathons and 10Ks and all of that. Just forget it. But you got to know who you are. And so that way when people come at you, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? You can just, from a place of inner security, tell people, you know what, no. It sounds great. That is, that just sounds like a wonderful opportunity, but that's just not me. That's just not who I am. And actually, in a few weeks, I'm actually going to highlight some memorable moments from my almost 25 years coming up here on May 17th, my almost 25-year journey in fitness. So I'm going to highlight some memorable moments. And I'm actually going to highlight, how I celebrated my 21st anniversary here in Metro Detroit, and it's going to make you laugh, but I'm probably going to reference this, the Northville Running Club, people trying to recruit me, because there is a tie-in to distance running in terms of how I celebrated that event, that milestone in my life, several years ago. But folks, moving on to confidence. It is so important. And we truly, this is a key ingredient, not only to leadership, but just to life success, to being successful in life. And as you can see, I'm actually sporting here, bam, told you I was going to do it. My wonderful t-shirt that was given to me by the general manager, Alexa Porter, Diamond Hall, her shift leader in Deja. They was actually working the morning of March 10th and actually gave me the t-shirt. And so appreciate this t-shirt, and I told you I was going to use it as a prop, and this is actually the first time I'm using it as a prop, but it dovetails so well. But I'm always happy to provide feedback, and I certainly appreciate them going above and beyond, because this is actually something I am going to use quite often, because confidence is something I speak and write about quite a bit. But knowing who you are, and this whole concept of freedom. And so you see the Be Free, and this is obviously, if you've seen the Planet Fitness ads and things like that, Be Free, the judgment-free zone, and all of that, just great marketing. And I'll definitely give it to them, and certainly Crunch Fitness, who pioneered the no judgments philosophy. Those two, from a marketing perspective, absolute brilliance in terms of just strategy and really speaking to the pain that a lot of people feel in terms of walking into a facility, perhaps for the first time gym goers, or perhaps their fitness activity has lapsed for a long time, and just that whole factor of, I feel intimidated and I don't know what to do, and is whatever, so much has changed since I've last been in a fitness facility, whatever the case may be. So very powerful marketing. But Confidence is something, and freedom is something that I speak on quite a bit. And if there's, there's certainly, I've highlighted a gazillion times, I know there's two very important things that are important in my life, and that is number one, freedom, number two, change. Very, very important factors in my life. And part of the reason why I'm so happy is just because you got to, again, just be secure in who you are, know what's important to you, and gravitate towards situations where that's going to be certainly a possibility. And so this whole concept of freedom. And so, folks, I have to just really, when I talk about this whole concept of confidence, and when I think about, and I have to, humility is not a natural trait that I have, but it's certainly something I've been working on here, the last couple of years very diligently. And, life has a way of also humbling us. And so just from a place of humility, when I think about how far I've come, you're sitting here watching this episode, people watch these episodes and think, Rachelle, she's very confident, she's assertive, whatever, she's decisive, she's secure in who she is, she doesn't care what people think. Okay, yeah, that's all true, but it's very important, and it's a work in progress. It's something I always have to work on, folks. But when I think back to years ago, when I think back to high school, Seoul American high school, when I think back to how just insecure I used to be, and what are people going to say, what are people going to think, and that used to just consume me, and just trying to live, trying to fit in and not stand out in any way, and all of this and that used to be me. I go back to my high school years when I think about, I wore, and with all due respect to people who wear colored contacts, but I had hazel contacts for a number of years, and I was always trying to change my appearance, and wish my hair was longer, and for the whole thing. And I know some women are going to be able to relate to this, but I wanted a very big breast. I was a very big breast, and unfortunately, you could see. And I did the exercises. I must increase my bust. So I used to do those exercises in high school. And as you can see, unfortunately, I wasted all that time because, bam, what I have is what I have. Wanted to be taller. And so it was my junior year in high school. I decided, because I'm not a milk drinker, and so I decided, well, that's the reason why I'm not tall. My dad is 6'2". I should be taller than I am. I want to be tall. And so I used to take calcium supplements every day, just trying to grow, just trying to create, some sense of, to increase my height. And so that was a thing. And, when I was real young, I wanted to have, a nose. I was going to have nose surgery to make my nose smaller. And then, one of my sports was a swim team. And so I would get out of the pool and all that kind of stuff. Love the swim team, really enjoyed that, as well as, ran track, and also softball, played shortstop. So, but the whole hair thing, of, man, I wish my hair was different, and I wish I could just get out of the pool and my hair could air dry like everyone else. I was the only black person on my team, so it's like I went through all of that. So all of these different scenarios of not liking who I was and wishing who I was someone different. And folks, many people deal with this their whole lives. Somebody who's 75 years old, wishing they were someone else, or wishing they had someone else's life, or trying to get breast implants, when you're 50 years old. And so, folks, we gotta reach a point. You gotta reach a point. We all have to reach a point where we say, you know what? I am who I am. I can't increase my height. Part of a lot of that is genetic. I can't increase my height. There's certainly things, in terms of weight loss and for overall health and longevity and things like that, stamina, just better quality of life. Yes, that's important. And I'm a huge advocate for fitness and making those type of changes. But changes, the other changes that are essentially based on, trying to fit into quote unquote society's mode of what's beautiful, what isn't, and who's handsome, and all of this. And so, folks, we've got to reach a point. And I just have this feeling that most people go to the grave not liking themselves, not liking who they are, and wishing they were someone different, and regretting their whole lives. And certainly something, our life decisions and life choices, there's certainly things along this journey that, we can certainly make different decisions and take different paths and veer to different paths if our current paths aren't working. But just waking up every day, people waking up every day, dreading life because they don't like themselves. They don't like who they are. And folks, that is an epidemic in our society. And that used to be me, but I woke up and, and I tell people, February 27, 2005, that was truly a wake up period in my life. And it was, I've spent episodes talking about that, non-fitness Friday episodes, Posi-TIPS, talking about that in years past. I have to come back and talk about that for the newer people that may be tuning in here to my Posi-TIPS. But folks, I've been there. I know what it's like, but I know just what an awful life. I mean, that's what an awful life that is. That awful life that is. And the super hyper competitive people. And I used to be one of those folks where you're always comparing and you're always competing. So you're either coming up ahead of and better than people, or coming out ahead of them, or you're worse off than they are, or then that just feeds, insecurity, inferiority, inadequacy. And so, folks, there is a better way of life, and I just want to challenge you. I mean, there's books. Like, I've got a massive number of bookcases here in my house. I've done a lot of reading, and a lot of studying, and a lot of praying, and a lot of journaling. And I challenge you to do the same, because, folks, living a life without confidence, just fundamentally not knowing who you are, because you're always trying to be someone else, or trying to be someone who someone else wants you to be, or perhaps society wants you to be. And folks, that's just a recipe for disaster and a horrible life. And we really got to wake up and just say, you know what? And part of that, just I'm a nonconformist by nature, and so we got to just recognize that what society says to do, be, have, whatever. If that's not who you are, then forget it. Because the truth of the matter is, society's not going to give a rat's behind about whether you're happy or anything else. Most people in society are unhappy, and they'd be happy to join them on the misery train. And so I want to challenge you to be on the happiness train, the confidence train, the knowing who you are and valuing who you are train, the being secure in who you are train. Okay, that's a train that's a train that's got going to be on a great life journey. It's going to have an awesome destination, at the end. And so but this is something we're going to have to work on our entire lives. It just does not come natural to just, buck society's trends and expectations and all of that, and just be comfortable and be secure in who you are. Actually, Non-Fitness Friday, I'm doing an episode or a series now of episodes on your life purpose. Don't leave Earth without it. And that's actually my introductory episode. I talked about that. So many people hate their jobs, just are miserable in their careers, but they're just collecting a paycheck. From an HR perspective, you have a lot of disengaged employees that are not contributing as much as they could to their employers. Why? Because their heart's not in it. They'd rather be doing something else. And the challenge I put on that episode is a very common one: is if everyone in society, regardless of where you are, who you are, whatever, if everyone was paid equally $10 an hour, what would you be doing? What would you be doing? Would you be in the fitness industry? And I think part of the challenge with the tremendous turnover, particularly on the commercial side of the fitness industry, is you have a lot of folks that are in it for a paycheck. Their heart's not in fitness. They don't care about fitness themselves. They physically don't reflect fitness. They don't care. It's a paycheck. It's a revenue stream. It's money, whatever the case may be. And so I just challenge you, when you think about how much time we spend in our professional lives working. Are you happy? Part of being confident and secure, particularly in a professional standpoint, is if you're pursuing your life purpose, if that's where your heart is, if that's where your purpose is, that shines, that radiates, that shows through. And I know, I'm just gonna share something when someone comes to mind when I think about you. Heard me talk about the manager I met of the Westland, Michigan Planet Fitness, and I had an opportunity. I met her actually at a grand opening for the Wayne location last summer when that opened. But I actually had an opportunity and talk about Rachelle's PF Adventures on March 25th. Went to that. It was actually Westland, never in Westland, and so went to that particular location, and it was a Detroit symphony of teamwork, cleaning, teamwork, and collaboration, folks. Did not surprise me one bit. Why? Because I had met that manager. She's very confident, very secure in terms of being in that role with PF Michigan Group, with Planet Fitness. I mean, it was just she's a clear standout in that regard. It was beautiful teamwork and collaboration amongst her team. I mean, I was just, floored. But because I had met her beforehand, I wasn't as surprised. And yet very impressed seeing that morning. I mean, one person, this is all while I'm still on cardio. I typically do between an hour and a half of cardio every day when I work out. And so one person hits, a young lady hits the floor. Okay, then she goes back, and then a young man hits the floor. Okay, then that same young lady comes back and hits the floor again. Then after 8 o'clock, another one had showed up, ponytail, glasses, young lady showed up. Then she hits the floor. She's walking around making sure everything is in place. And I hit the shower, folks, and I'm looking down at the shower. I'm looking at the tile, and I'm thinking, you know what? This bad boy is glistening. I could literally sit down and eat off this shower tile. But why? When I think on an overall standpoint, I'm thinking, man, which is just another example. When everything rises and falls, is John Maxwell, the world-renowned leadership expert. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And that gym said, that when I think about who leads that gym, who's running it, absolutely makes perfect sense. But I think she would argue, but I was certainly, I could tell from talking to her a few minutes at that grand opening last summer, this is somebody that wants to be here. His heart's in it. It's in it for the right reasons. And that flows and it shows. And she shines not only for PF Michigan Group or, the Michigan chain within that particular franchise group, but just the franchise overall. It's a very tough franchise. Very tough franchise. I think a lot of people, they get a lot of criticism, but people don't realize what a tough franchise that is. All right, but she shines for that group, but she also shines for the franchise. And her people, when I rolled in there on March 25th, certainly were shining for her. And it was just great to see. But that's an example. So when you think about, why you're in the fitness industry, is your heart really in it? Do you want to be in it, particularly from a leadership perspective? If your heart's not in it, if you're doing it for a paycheck and you're miserable and you're unhappy, I always say this, doesn't matter what you feel your industry is. Be a person, have character and integrity, and just say, you know what, let me do the right thing and move on. Let me pursue a different career, a different direction, whatever the case may be. And so that's certainly true in fitness. But we got to know who we are. We got to do things for the right reasons. Our heart has to be in it. Why do I do these Fitness Fridays? Why do I do Posi-TIPS? Why do I do these things? There's absolutely, at this particular moment, nothing I would rather be doing than these Posi-TIPS right now. I'm living a life of purpose. Certainly something I'm very, very passionate about, making a difference in the world and just changing lives one by one by challenging people in a positive manner to really grow and learn and recognize that change is possible. Happiness is possible. Confidence is possible. A wonderful, happy life is possible. All right, waking up every day to, doing something that you love and you enjoy and your heart's in, that you just would don't know what you would do if you weren't doing it. That is possible. But I think a lot of people just don't even think that that's a possibility. But it is. But you've got to want it. All right, but you've got to also have the confidence to pursue it. Great lives and lives of purpose and being happy and all of that doesn't just happen to people. All right, it didn't just happen to me. I had to make a series, and I'm always making a series of decisions that reflect that philosophy, that life philosophy. My happiness is very important to me, and I recognize, the importance of freedom, the importance of change, and the importance of me just always growing, just desiring to learn and grow, and that's not stemming from a position of inadequacy, of not feeling good enough. It's stemming from a position of wanting to be the best that I can be. Because I'm pouring my life into you. I'm pouring my life into other people. All right. And I believe you deserve the best that I have to offer. All right. I can't be mediocre and then trying to get on here or in front of an audience or whatever, saying something totally different. And I'm not living that. I don't know what confidence is like. I'm trying to tell someone else. And that's why years ago, I wouldn't have been equipped. Quite honestly, I wouldn't have been qualified to be doing these Posi-TIPS years ago, as much as I wanted to, and as much as my heart was in it. It's a lot. It takes a lot of growth, a lot of personal growth. And that growth comes through adversity. It comes from hardship. It comes through suffering. It comes from obstacles, overcoming obstacles. And I've overcome some obstacles, particularly in this area of confidence. All right. I've had the career before, and the corporate career. And, I want to be in the top marketing company coming out of Northwestern and in Minneapolis, Minnesota, hating every day of my life. Hated that. Hated, with all due respect to the people of Minnesota and Minneapolis, but I hated it. All right. And so, but again, I made the decision to make some changes in my life. And that's one thing. And then that's why the whole freedom for me is important, because I have the freedom to make changes in my life, but also I'm very open and receptive and value change, because I know that's how growth comes. That's how, if I'm in a situation that isn't working out, I've got to be willing to change. to make it better, to make it different. All right. And so if I'm afraid of change, then, and a lot of people are, quite honestly. And I just think growing up the way I grew up in different military environments and having that coming and going and that constant change, it really wired me. It kind of set me up for a life of just being able and being open and being very ruthless when it comes to making necessary changes in my life. All right, to be happy, to be whole, to be healthy and well, because I'm pouring my life into other people and I refuse to pour mediocrity into other people's lives. So I constantly have to work on myself to make sure that I'm giving others my best. And I know deep down that I'm living my best life, so I can encourage people from a place of authenticity to do the same. And so it's the same is true for you folks. So know who you are, appreciate who you are, value who you are. You may not have ever heard this growing up. Fortunately, I had great parents, still wonderful. Oscar and Willette Smith, been married almost 50 years. They'll be celebrating their 49th anniversary in September. Just wonderful parents. But growing up, Rachelle, you can do anything. Rachelle, you can do anything. Rachelle, you're capable. Rachelle, you're smart. And I heard that growing up. All right, so yes, I got a head start, but I still struggle. There's no guarantees. I still struggled in the confidence arena of peer pressure, wanting to fit in, and with me, particularly in high school, not wanting to be smart. I just wanted to be average and all of that. And so fortunately, when I got to college, I overcame that, didn't get in my own way, didn't let that just, spirit of just average, overtake my life. My life would have been very, very different. And I'm just fortunate that I've had some wonderful people, some wonderful mentors, some wonderful encouragers and supporters along the way to say, you know what, Rachelle, you're capable. Rachelle, you can do this. Rachelle, you can do that. Rachelle, you're a good speaker. Rachelle, you can do this. You're a good writer. Rachelle, you're inspiring. So many people have poured into my life. Professors, instructors, just random strangers, wonderful people, inside of gyms, outside of gyms, in the workplace, whatever, in the community, in Sam's Club. It's just fantastic. And that's why it's very easy for me to do that for other people. We can't, it's often said, we can't give away what we don't have. So wonderful people have poured into me, and I could give a gazillion names, so many wonderful people. Georgie Jarzabek, when I think about, in Louisiana and Shreveport, when I was in college, and she was actually a TV producer. She was an adjunct. She's still a member of the faculty there, but she's an adjunct instructor. And she said, you know what, Rachelle? And I actually took her class my junior year. It was a brand new class she was offering. She was a TV producer as well as an adjunct professor at one of the local stations, KSLA 12 at the time. And she said, you know what, Rachelle? You would make a great television anchor. You'd make a great anchor. And she worked with me. And I went down to the station and she worked with me. And she said, you know what, Rachelle? Obviously I was mentored for a number of years by my speech professor. And so she was wonderful, and that was great. Just great experience, great exposure. But her just working with me and just saying, you know what, Rachelle, we got to tweak out that Southern accent. I had a slight Southern accent, but she said, if you go to other markets in the country, you always want to, it's common standard, but it's ideal to have a neutral voice tone. Where that way, it's not a distraction. Yes, there are exceptions to that. If you grew up in your hometown and you have that particular accent that reflects that area, then yes, you definitely see that. But she said when you travel and you go to different markets, and I know that's, going to be your life's journey, you're not going to stay here. It's very important to have this neutral tone to where your voice is not, your potential accent would not be a distraction. So she worked with me and I neutralized that, but not, she wasn't saying you're not good enough, but she's saying, hey, to open up doors and open up opportunities, that's certainly the case. But certainly, and I looked at those starting salaries of journalists, broadcast journalists, and I was like, okay, not doing this. It's so funny when I look back now, but great training, because I didn't know then, but she was preparing me to do these Posi-TIPS, which is a very different format than being in front of an audience. All right, but also just many important things that I learned from her and from that experience. You see me reading all the time on my phone or reading different things, the importance of not disengaging totally. You notice I always look up, even when I'm reading, I look up regularly because you don't want to lose your audience. There's things like that I learned along the way. Okay, she built confidence in me, the confidence years later that I'd be able to sit here in front of you and do these Posi-TIPS, not on a newscast. God bless all the journalists, wonderful profession, and I had some great training in that area, even though at the time I was a PR major, but she said you have a lot of potential in broadcast journalism, and I certainly appreciate that, but great training. All right. So folks, reflect on the people in your lives who've encouraged you, who've helped you, who've given you attaboys and attagirls. All right. And appreciate those people, particularly people that are challenging you to grow, to become better. All right. Be encouraged, be empowered by those folks, because those are people that are sent into our lives that we cross paths with, that help to increase our confidence, whether it be a task-oriented confidence or confidence of being who you are. And that's always my role, is a combination of both, the confidence of who you are, but also what you're capable of doing. And I'm going to talk more about that next week. But folks, confidence is so important. As a leader, but as a human being, this is something, a lack of confidence, low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-concept, inadequacy, inferiority, insecurity. That's the norm in society, but we don't have to be the norm. We can rise above that, all right? Because society deserves truly the best you that you can be. Your family deserves that. Your employer deserves that. Most importantly, you deserve that. You deserve to be happy, healthy, whole, secure in who you are. Waking up every day knowing that you're here for a reason. You have value. You have purpose. Your life can have meaning. All right, that is something that is just so clear. This is something years ago you didn't hear me talking about life purpose. I didn't understand. I didn't know anything about life purpose. I, like most people, was just getting a job, going in the corporate world. That was going to be my career. I wanted to have certain titles and all of that to reflect, quote unquote, success of what society says success is. No, folks. Waking up every day, and this is just something I just feel so strongly about. Waking up every day, comfortable in your own skin, is the greatest achievement I will ever achieve in life. And I feel the same is true for you, but obviously you make that decision of what would be the best decision and the best in terms of success for you. But nothing else can match it. Nothing else compares, because your whole life will change. Your whole life will shift. But you got to be comfortable with change. If you're not, if you're afraid, if you lack confidence of the fear of the unknown and all of that, it's going to come back to hurt you, folks. But life is meant to be enjoyed. You need to be in a position where you're not walking around with an empty glass, expecting people to pour into you constantly, build you up, make you feel good about yourself. Okay, and I tell people, if you're under the age of 18, then yes, be insecure, struggle with all of that. We all have. Go around looking for people to validate you all the time. Okay, yeah, that's acceptable child/teenager behavior. Absolutely. But once we reach adulthood, folks, we can't go through life putting that expectation on other people. It's your responsibility to make me feel good about myself. It's their responsibility. A group, it may be a group. And you're just setting yourself up for just misery, because that is a very big expectation to put on people. And many people, when put in that situation, and I'm the very first one in line to admit, you get tired. Yeah, you get tired. And fortunately, I can recognize that dynamic now pretty quickly, and so I can quickly wave the white flag of surrender. But I already know, because you're going to get tired of, quote unquote, keeping someone fixed, propping them up all the time, being their sense of validation, making them feel good about themselves every day. Absolutely unacceptable. So please don't put that expectation on other people. So that's why we have to work to build ourselves up from within, all right, to demonstrate and to grow in this area of confidence and knowing who we are and valuing ourselves and increasing our self-esteem, so that we can radiate that to the world, but also pour into other people. We can have mutually beneficial relationships, not these one-sided relationships where people hate to see you coming, because you're going to have some hard luck story about how the world owes you something and you're always a victim, and you had, everything is horrible in your life and you have horrible self-esteem, and people are going to avoid you like the plague. They may not tell you that, but I'm telling you it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And that's not the lives that we want to live. We want to live great lives. We want to live happy lives. We want to live lives of purpose and meaning. And it's possible. So just be secure in who you are. And just be secure in who you are. And I think about, being free. Be free. All right? Be free. My perspective on that is, people are going to judge you. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, people are always going to be people that aren't going to like it. There are always going to be people that are going to be judging you inside of the gym or outside of the gym. It doesn't matter. And so, but where the true beauty of life comes, and the true beauty of inner security and confidence says, people may judge me, and that's okay. Because I'm secure in who I am. I know who I am. All right. And I think a lot of people just this whole fear of judgment and people, what are people going to say? What are people going to do? I was trapped there for years myself. But the freedom, the true freedom in life comes, says, you know what? That's going to happen, and I'm okay with that. That's not going to change who I am. That's not going to change my life purpose. That's not going to change this. It's not going to change that. You know, I'm free to live a whole life, a life of purpose, of authenticity. You know, and if people don't like it, then oh well. I'm determined to live my best life, and that's on them. But folks, people are going to judge you. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, what you have, what you don't have. People are going to judge you because that's just human nature. All right. And so just be free from the standpoint of the Rachelle Smith, you know, standpoint of a perspective on freedom is just accept it. Accept it and say, that's okay. Because folks, when you have your own approval, when you accept yourself, when you're secure in who you are, I promise you, the judgment of others have no impact, very minimal impact. All right, so that's the type of lives where we're not constantly being thrown about, you know, by every little wind that blows. If this person said this, and this person said that, and this person criticized me, and this person did this, and this person did that. All right, this is why I do what I do. You know, I love people. I have a gift for leadership. This is something I take very seriously. I work hard at. And then that way I can just pour into lives of other people and encourage people. That's what I do. If you know me on a personal level, you know this is what you see me doing on these episodes. You know, giving feedback, doing surveys and things like this. This is what I do all the time. This is truly Rachelle, the authentic Rachelle. It happens all the time. Do it all the time. Inside the fitness industry, outside of the fitness industry. You know, just I'm very adventurous. So Rachelle's PR adventure, Rachelle's Planet Fitness adventures are very, very authentic. That's just how I am. You know, people used to refer to me years ago, where's Waldo? Where's Rachelle? You never know where she's going to be. And certainly in the case of Planet Fitness, never know which location I'm going to show up at, you know. And I love the Black Card membership program where I can go to all these different clubs, folks, because it's just a perfect dovetail of what? My need for freedom and also the need for change. And so I just enjoy my PF adventures and going to all these different clubs. I learn something, you know, each and every time. Such a wonderful experience in different states and different clubs here within Metro Detroit. Just such a great experience. And I told you about Westland. I'm going to close out this episode. I had an opportunity to go to one of the newer clubs, the West Bloomfield location here in Metro Detroit on March 28th. Folks, had a wonderful experience, actually. It was in West Bloomfield that morning, so just decided to work out a little bit later that morning and go to the meeting that I had in West Bloomfield, and just a wonderful experience. I was so impressed with that club. And I like to see growth. When I think about, you know, especially from a leadership perspective, when I think about, you know, looking at all the different clubs that I've been to, even within that particular franchise group with PF Michigan Group, and just to see just where that club is, and just an outstanding job, on the layout, just wonderful things, but also to see the growth and seeing those 6 stair climbers instead of the traditional 4 that I've seen in their other clubs. So just wonderful experience. And I'll tell you this, because I laughed. It was a funny moment, and I wish I could have seen myself. If someone had recorded it, I'm sure it would have been a funny response. But so I'm sitting there about to, you know, I'm on the cable machines, about to wrap up my workout, head over to some of the other areas of the gym. And so I'm sitting there, you know, bobbing my head as you'll often see me doing in the gym. And then I turn my head and I glance over and I see, bam, TV 15. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And so, folks, I'm happy to report that Michael, the general manager, has 3 cable stations, and I just channel 15. TV 15 made my day. I was like, he's brought it to the western suburbs. I'm so happy. All cable channels, all 3 of them, and I can watch channel 15. So we got Bloomfield Hills. We've got Charles, the manager of Bloomfield Hills. We've got Alan, the manager of Dearborn and Ford Road. Now we got Michael, the general manager of West Bloomfield, brought it to the western suburbs. And I thought to myself, sookie now, but that made me smile. So happy. But I enjoy all of my PF adventures. Love them all. And certainly will be returning to those, share more about that, but just wonderful experience. And I walked in there that morning. Henry greeted me. Thank you, Ms. Smith. And I thought to myself, there you go, Henry. There we go. We getting off to a great start here at this facility. But anyway, folks, but that's me. Adventurous. Learning new things. Open to new things. But appreciating each and every experience. And so just be authentic in your life. But the more confident you are, the easier that will be. You know, I don't feel the need to get on here and be someone totally different than who I actually am. I'm very random. I'm very adventurous. I like change. And that's exactly what you see here, particularly reflected on these Rachelle's PF Adventures, folks. So that is it for today. Next time, I'm going to wrap up this entire series by highlighting the value and the role of confidence in terms of what you do. Okay, we talked about the who you are aspect here in this episode. Next time, I'm going to wrap it up by talking about what you do, your actions, folks. So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for your support in each and every one of these episodes, folks. I love this. I certainly wake up every day just looking forward to making a difference in the lives of other people. And I thank you so much for allowing me to be of service to you in that regard. So until next time, thanks so much for your time. And remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness and your leadership.